last thing that America really needs is more homeless people on the streets.
Welcome to Moving to Tucson. My name's Doug Trudeau. I'll be your host. I'm a local realtor in the Tucson area. As rents increase, many people are finding themselves in a difficult time. Some people are seeing rents rise as much as 50% or even more. The national average right now is right around 12%. What does that mean for Tucson? Well, what happens in Phoenix and other parts of the country have a way of trickling down to Tucson. It's not quite as bad in Tucson as it is in other areas, but it's headed in that direction. So hopefully this will give you some awareness of what's happening with the rent and what you can do and some of the things that could potentially go wrong as rents increase. Jeff up at Living in Arizona Now has a good comment about that. I was watching his YouTube channel and I really like what he had to say, and we'll watch a take of that in a little bit. Before we go any further, make sure that you hang around to the end because I'm going to give you some good tips and stuff, or not really tips, but where you can get information to help yourself if you find yourself in the eviction process here in Arizona. Now, if you're in Florida, North Dakota, New York, Washington, California, I don't know what's available there, but at least for the people here in Arizona, at least the people here in Arizona, there are a few things that can kind of help you out. There's also a utility assistance. Now, a friend of ours, she was paying, I think it was $995 a month in rent. Her rent went up 50%. Her rent jumped from $995 to $1,495, and there's no way she can pay that. So she had no option but to move out and move in with a family member. Now, the national average is right around 12%. So where's the parity in that? Where's the fairness in that? I can see trying to recuperate some of your costs as a landlord as insurance goes up and taxes go up. Yeah, that should be passed on, or at least a big portion of it passed on to the renter. But for 50%, I mean, you're going to tell me there's a 50% increase in your expenses as a landlord? Does that smell of greed? In 2019, Maricopa County saw a 5-year high in landlords filing for evictions. Then came COVID-19. A moratorium was created, helping people not to be evicted. But that moratorium ended last fall. So a lot of people are finding themselves in a tough spot again. Now, in order for a landlord to file an eviction, a tenant has to be at least 5 days late on their rent. After the 5th day, the landlord has every right in Arizona to go ahead and file for an eviction. Now, do all of them do it? No, they don't. Do some of them do it? Yes, they do. And the tenants are the ones that are paying for it. Now, if it hasn't been resolved after 3 weeks, the landlord can go ahead and lock the tenant out. That's Arizona law. So it's not an immediate thing, but there's not a lot of time to respond to it. Landlords have more of a tendency to use attorneys than do tenants. I believe it's around 88% of landlords use attorneys for evictions, where tenants, only about 1%, try to defend themselves against it. Tens of thousands of people are at risk right now, and that's something we really don't need. I can't explain any better than Jeff does, so let's go ahead and take a look at what he has for us concerning evictions and what's happening with the rents.
If you go back to 2020, CNBC, a surge in evictions could turn into a financial crisis, economists warn. The thing that America really needs is more homeless people on the streets. But with rising prices, people's wages not keeping up, how do you have 3 kids and make $15 to $20 an hour and pay the rent and feed your kids? I mean, even if someone was straight up doing the best they could, single mom, single dad, or even a dual family household, how do they pay the bills with that kind of rent, even here in Phoenix? It's basically they're going to need some sort of assistance. So something is looming on the horizon, and it seems to be this eviction crisis. If it ever comes due, if they ever decide this is a thing, then the eviction crisis could end up being the big deal that sets it off.
I couldn't agree with Jeff anymore. I mean, the last thing we need is more homeless people on the street. A lot of people that buy houses are renters. It's hard enough coming out of a rent, saving up while you're paying rent, and then have your rent increased for you to save enough to buy a home. But to end up on the street, that's even more devastating. That makes it even harder for people to try to buy a home. So this is something that maybe, not maybe, this is something that needs to be addressed. Over 253,000 people. Now this was back in, I think it was August of 2021. Around 253,000 Arizona renters were behind on their rent at that time. That's 250,000 people behind. Right about that time, right around August, September in 2021 is when the moratorium on evictions ended. Remember earlier I was talking about that friend of ours that her rent went up 50% by $500? Well, here's another one up in the Phoenix area. Hers went up 50%, but hers went up $800. It's got to be tough on somebody they're barely scraping by. They're living paycheck to paycheck. And how do they survive this? You know, fortunately homeowners don't have to go through that. But with the lack of homes available right now, it makes it tough for people. I have some buyers that they've literally been priced out of the market. Fortunately for us in Arizona, we don't have it as bad as people do in Florida. Florida, they don't have any control over rent increases and stuff like that. They're in a really tough spot. Here's a 4-minute video, a news report of what's happening over there. Now, that friend of ours, she saw an increase of $500. Some of these people are seeing an increase of as much as $1,000 a month. $1,000, that's a lot of money, a huge increase. So what's going to happen to those people? You know, some of them may be coming to Arizona where rent isn't quite as bad as Florida. So let's watch that video. Let's watch that news report in Florida, and I'll get back to you after that.
Economic terms can seem kind of cold when you're talking about real people, real families. And today, our Wendy Lane spoke to a single mother who has disabled kids who just had her rent go up $1,000 a month. She feels like she has nowhere to go, and unfortunately, she's not alone.
But it was part of my job.
Renee Shallin worked until the age of 72.
He motivated the whole crew.
His wife, Paula, until she was 68.
At that hotel, which was much larger.
After retiring 5 years ago, they moved to an apartment home in Spring Hill.
We moved to Florida for my health.
Paula says the warm weather helps with her arthritis.
I feel better.
This one-bedroom apartment is where they planned to live out the rest of their days.
Over here, I'm going to put 2 palm trees.
But their slice of paradise comes at a price they can no longer afford.
We're supposed to enjoy our retirement. That's what we work for, and we're not enjoying our retirement.
Not anymore. Now they can no longer eat out, and they're forced to put groceries on credit cards because since moving in, rent is increasing by 50%.
The next year, it'll be $1,600, and we can't afford that. That'll be completely out of our reach. This is my scooter.
Both now elderly.
Handicap scooter.
And facing health problems.
Takes me a little while to get my breath back.
Back to continuing to look for apartments in their price range, which don't seem to exist. And they make too much money from Social Security to live in affordable housing.
There is no help for us. There is nowhere to go.
And they know many others are facing the same problems.
Where am I going to go?
Cece Rosario also has nowhere to go. She says the rent of her 3-bedroom Carrollwood apartment is going up from $1,500 to $2,500 a month. Her landlord just gave her a 60-day eviction notice.
Many of the apartments I have applied for, they don't have nothing available. They have a waiting list.
And waiting is something the single mother of 3 can't afford to do. Her oldest son has Angelman syndrome with severe special needs.
He can't do anything on his own.
Her 10-year-old son, young Carlos, dreams of becoming a doctor to help people like his brother.
Discovering new medicine for illness, that's what I want to do.
And while he dreams of someday helping others, right now his family is in need of help themselves.
I don't even know where to go.
And many don't know where to go. That's because about 1/3 of the people living in Florida are renters. And rent has gone up about 30% in the Tampa Bay area compared to last year. Florida leading the nation in rent increases in a state that has no rent control laws.
This current situation is affecting everybody.
Everybody, including organizations who help people struggling with rent. Now they're struggling themselves, overwhelmed by the need.
Our shelters are at full capacity, and there's a multi-hundred family wait list to get into the shelters.
Metropolitan Ministries says they normally get about 150 requests for rental help each month. Now they're getting 900 requests from people who have nowhere to go.
Things are going to have to change, or people can't live here.
Change like more help for the elderly who are on fixed incomes and are being priced out of their homes.
Will we be homeless?
And more help for working people and families who have nowhere to go.
Maybe I find a place to go, and I'm going to be okay, and my kids are going to be okay. What about those people out there? I'm still under a roof, but the people out there, that breaks me. And I just don't want to get there.
Wendy Lane, ABC Action News.
Wasn't that something? I mean, I'm glad we live in Arizona. My heart goes out to those people in Florida. My heart goes out to everybody that's going through this. But we're reaching near pre-pandemic levels of evictions and rents going up. Rents are actually going up higher now than they were pre-pandemic. People are being taken advantage of. In some areas, there's reports of scammers. You get somebody, they're down and out. They're beat up, their rent has gone up, and they're desperate to find someplace. And then scammers come along and take the last few pennies that they have. That is that's not criminal, that's flat out evil. One of the protections that Arizona does offer tenants for people renting is the Arizona Residential Landlord and Tenant Act. I recommend the link I'll provide down below so you can click on it if you're looking to move to Arizona and you're wanting to rent. Go through that thing. Get to know it from beginning to end. Understand what your rights are. Understand what is protected, what is not protected. So at least you have some awareness and some knowledge to make it a little bit better for you. Now, if you note, during the COVID time, there were a lot of protections out there. Again, that ended last fall, but there's still some agencies. The agencies that were helping people haven't gone away. So if you find yourself in a dilemma, there may be programs out there that these agencies are aware of that can help. Now, they can't help everybody, but you don't know if you don't ask. So here's a few tips that I put together that may help you, guide you in the right direction. I'm not giving legal advice. Please do not expect this to be legal advice. Please do not accept it as legal advice. For that, please go to an attorney, because I don't know all the law when it comes to tenant, landlord, and rent. But there are agencies out there that can help you and guide you through the maze on that. There are organizations out there to help people that do find themselves in this dilemma. Now, this is something that I got an email from Southwest Gas that I wasn't aware of, that I'm a homeowner, so I don't qualify for assistance as renters do. But there are programs out there that will assist you with getting help if you're not able to make your utility payments because your rents have increased. And I think there's a sunset on these, so to speak. It's not something that's open forever, but there is a time frame on them. And I don't know where the funds are coming from, or if funds are drying up or anything like that. They would have to answer that for you, but at least it gives you an opportunity. It gives you some direction, a place to go, should you need this type of assistance. One of the best ways to get out of the rent dilemma that we're seeing right now is to buy a home. Some people can afford to do it, some people can't. In a future video, I'll give you some tips and pros and cons of buying a home versus rent. But one of the decent things about buying a home, or buying a condo, or anything like, or townhome, is you don't have to worry about the landlord raising the rent. Now, taxes can go up. They're not going to go up 50%. Insurance can go up. It's not going to go up 50%. So there are actual increases in costs over the years, but they're very, very small increases that can be absorbed. I mean, $120 increase spread over 12 months of payments, you're talking $10 a month. So that's not a significant increase. Yeah, it's a little bit of an inconvenience, but not a significant increase, especially now when we're looking at gas prices hovering right around $5, and probably within the next few weeks we may be well over $5. So that, combined with the cost of rent, it's making it very hard for people. My heart just goes out to people because of what's going on. So please look at the links below. I'll provide some links below that hopefully will help some people. Please subscribe. That helps me. Click the like button. Love to hear some of your comments down below on things that maybe you found that can help out other people. Some of the stuff that you've gone through, so people can see what, this is a reality out there that's happening to a lot of people. And I look forward to seeing you in future videos. So God bless, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.